Hey folks, welcome to Thousand Faces Club, and this is the masterclass that we'll be conducting with Aryan on designing click-worthy thumbnails. We are super excited for this session and hope you guys are too. Let's get started. I'll introduce Aryan. Aryan is a thumbnail and a YouTube expert. Aryan has worked with a lot of creators in India, such as Varun Mayya, Dhruv Rathee, BigBrainco, and a lot of big creators in India. He's helped them grow their channel, and he'll help you understand his process today. So over to you, Aryan, and let's start the session.
Hi everyone. I hope many of you know me, many of you don't know me. It's okay. You don't need to know me. You just need to know what I am going to talk about. I know that you guys are here for thumbnails, right? But आज Saturday है और कल Sunday, right? So let's start with something more relatable, okay? So we all love शॉपिंग राइट हम सबको कपड़े खरीदना घूमना फिरना सबको अच्छा लगता है इट्स प्रेटी मच अ एविडेंट पार्ट सो सपोज दैट यू आर गोइंग टू अ मॉल ओके एंड यू वांट टू बाय टी शर्ट फॉर यू ओके तुम एक मॉल में जाते हो एंड देन तुम एक स्टोर पे जाते हो एंड देन यू सी दैट इफ यू वांट टू बाय टी शर्ट्स you have 5 to 7 t-shirts hanging in front of you. Okay, just try to visualize it. You are going to a shop, you want to buy some t-shirts for you, and then you see that there are 5 to 7 t-shirts hanging in front of you. Okay, now here's my question. Which t-shirt would you pick? Which t-shirt would you pick? What would be the basis of you picking a t-shirt from a lot of t-shirts? Can you just type in the chat? Which t-shirt would you pick? What would be the basis of your parameter? Why would you pick red? Why would you pick black? Why? Color, okay. Black, red, black because it stands out. Okay. So someone has said black because it stands out. Okay, now it can be very different for everyone. But what would be the fundamental of choosing a t-shirt? The fundamental would be that you would pick the t-shirt which would be the more attractive one. Okay, so understand that in a lot of various t-shirts, you would actually pick the t-shirt which is most attractive. Now, this is the only thing that you need to take care of while making thumbnails. And t-shirts are actually equal to thumbnails. I'll tell you how. Okay. So assume that you open your YouTube feed, okay, and you see that there are tons of videos which YouTube is recommending you. You choose the video, you click on the video which is most attractive. That is the only thing which matters while making thumbnails. Okay. Now you need to take care of this example. इस example को अपने मन में रखना. We'll be running this entire workshop using this example only. Okay. So welcome to Thumbnails and Beyond. This workshop is named Thumbnails and Beyond for a very special reason. So the major issue you guys would find, and I think that's why you guys are here also, is the fact that whenever you go to internet, YouTube, Google, or whatever platform, and if you want to know how to make good thumbnails, and if you would search on YouTube, you would find that people are talking about how to make good thumbnails on Canva, Photoshop, Figma, Pixel Lab, and whatnot. And this is the major issue. No one actually talks about how to think while making thumbnails. And this is what you are going to take away from this webinar. So if you have actually a low attention span, honestly, I don't know how you guys are going to address it, but you need to be with me for this entire webinar because it's not a workshop where you can learn 100 things in 100 minutes. I'll take you through each and every fundamental of what thumbnails are. I'll take you through how to actually think. How can you study thumbnails? And by the end of this webinar, you guys would be having this superpower. And there's a reason why I'm calling it a superpower and not a skill, is because it is actually a superpower that 99% of the people who call themselves a thumbnail designer are just designers. They are not able to think. And if you are able to think, then India's population is 130 crore people. You can be on the top 0.1% of the people, because then you will be actually knowing how to break down things. Okay, cool. So I'll just let you go through what would I be actually covering in this entire workshop. So we'll start by talking about what thumbnails are not. We already know what thumbnails are, but I need to break some myths. What thumbnails are not. Then we'll talk about the fundamentals of thumbnails. There are only two questions which you need to ask while making thumbnails. What are they? I'll talk to you. Then we'll talk about the four elements which make a thumbnail. And then the major part of this workshop, I'll give you my secret formula to actually understand and break down thumbnails. Okay, now if this sounds too much clickbaity to you, secret formula, I think the purpose is fulfilled and you are learning it from the right person, because my role is to clickbait. Cool? Okay. So the question is, who am I and why you need to learn from me? I think I don't need to spend much time on it. You know, I'm Aryan, I work with creators, and I am fortunately the first Indian to be ever invited by Mr. Beast to speak on Wit Summit. Wit Summit is an international conference where speakers like Nash Daly, Gary Vaynerchuk come and speak, and I'm going to be a panelist this year in September. And it's the first time I'm announcing it somewhere publicly. So yeah, so you're learning from the right person. For Indians, these are the people I work with. These are just a few names. I work with a lot more. But honestly, I don't matter. What matters is the content. So let's actually start. Okay, what thumbnails are not? Okay, what thumbnails are not? Do you remember this example? Again, try to recall. You pick the t-shirt which you find the most attractive, right? Understand the keyword, attractive. But do you actually care about कि वो जो t-shirt है, it was made in Bombay, it was made in Delhi, it was made in Kerala? You don't care. You only care is the t-shirt attractive or not. You can care about it after maybe picking that t-shirt in your hand, but that's for some other matter. The fundamental is that you don't care. In the same way, doesn't matter if you create thumbnails on your phone or your PC or Photoshop, Figma, whatever tool. Tools don't matter, because if you don't think about the factory in which the t-shirt was produced in, you would not care कि वो thumbnail कहाँ बन के आया था. As long as the attractiveness is there, everything else is secondary. In fact, I made my first thumbnail in Paint. It was back then in 2016. So MS Paint is too outdated. I'm sure there are better and easier tools available now. Okay. So thumbnails are not a matter of tools. Okay. Here's the second thing. If you see this YouTube feed, right, there is one thumbnail which is actually standing out. There is one thumbnail which is actually standing out. If you see, this red thumbnail is standing out of all other thumbnails. But it's not a very beautiful thing. It's not the, it's not a very beautiful graphic. What I'm actually trying to convey is that thumbnails need to be attractive. They don't need to be beautiful. Okay, now you might ask, attractiveness and beauty are the same thing, right? No. Attractiveness and beauty are not the same thing. In fact, if you see, I am a very, very bad graphic designer. I might create the worst graphics ever, but I understand attractiveness. If something is beautiful, it attracts you. But at the same time, if something is really, 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 really bad, if something is really weird, if something is really strange, it also attracts you. So understand that thumbnails are not about beauty. It's about attractiveness. And if you actually think about it, it will solve 60% of your problems. जो सबसे बड़ी दिक्कत होती है वो ये होती है कि when people actually start making thumbnails, तो उनको ये होता है कि हम ये डालेंगे, हम वो डालेंगे, हम ये डालेंगे, वो डालेंगे. No, it's not about putting this, that. You have to make it attractive, and that attractiveness can come from even a single color, as you see in this, right? It's just a single color, but it is standing out because it is attractive. So thumbnail, second, is not about beauty, it is about attractiveness. And third, this is my first thumbnail. Okay, and I made this back then in 2016, and it was made on MS Paint. It is a bad graphic, honestly, but I got this video to, I guess, 7K views at 9% CTR back then in 2015 when Geo was not here, right? Which means that thumbnails are a process. If I started back then in 2015, even in 2022, sometimes I sit and try to make thumbnails for 5 hours, 6 hours. My mind is blown. I don't get any ideas at all. So thumbnails are not a one night thing. In fact, even after this webinar, you will have a lot of information to think about. You will have a lot of framework to think about. So it is a process which you need to take care of. Okay, now what you need to take care of while making thumbnails, right? Okay, so whenever you start to make thumbnails, the major problem is that people used to think in very various things. They used to think, I'll think about this, that. But no, drop everything you know. Drop everything you know. Make your mind a blank slate and just understand what I'm trying to convey. There are only two things which matter while making thumbnail. Okay, one. Let's start with something. So ये वाला thumbnail I have picked from the group we created in the Masterclass wala WhatsApp group. We were having a chat there, so I have picked this thumbnail as a sample. And now I want you guys to tell me, would you click on this thumbnail? If yes, why? If no, then why not? Let me know in the chat. Okay, yes, no, yes, no. Very generic. It's catchy. No, background would not click. Okay, okay, cool, cool. It's free. Yeah, I know it's free, but still, okay. I got this sentiment, but no, understand this. The people who are actually saying that you would click on this thumbnail, you guys are seeing this thumbnail alone. But now understand the fact. If you go to YouTube and actually search free social media courses, you would find hundreds and thousands and lakhs of people talking about the same thing. And इस पे से Gary Vaynerchuk, Ankur Warikoo, ये Ranveer Alabadia, and I don't know how many people. All those people have made the exact same video, free social media course. And now let me know in the chat if you have two videos. One where Ankur Warikoo is talking about free social media courses, and second where this thumbnail is here. Which video would you actually watch? Would it be the Ankur one or would it be this one? Let me know in the chat. Ankur Warikoo, right? Cool. So now you know the first fundamental of thumbnails, which actually is the issue with not only you. So मैं एक बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग सी कहानी बताता हूँ. मैं एक ब्रांड के साथ काम करता हूँ, ठीक है. आई कैन नॉट नेम देम बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली हमारा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है. इट्स अ वेरी बिग ब्रांड, राइट. मैं उनके चैनल के साथ गया एंड दे हैड रियली गुड कंटेंट. They had really good content, but उनका चैनल बिल्कुल dead था. What I did was just fix this fundamental issue in their thumbnail, and उनका चैनल 2x हो गया within a month. 2x in a month just by changing this fundamental rule. So now understand this rule very, very carefully, because it is the reason why most of your thumbnails don't work. The first question you need to ask while making thumbnails is the fact: would people actually care about this thumbnail? Would people actually care about this thumbnail when Ankur Vavariko has talked about it? No, they would not. If I go and make a video on 5 stocks to pick, or if I go and make a video on how to deal with stress, and the same video has been made by Ankur Wariko, Gary Vaynerchuk, you would not click on my video, because the same thing you would not care. So whenever you are making thumbnails, the first rule you have to take care of is that would people care about this. And now when you have understood this, just go and after this workshop see the thumbnails you have made. It will solve most of your problems. If you guys understood this rule, can you just type yes in the comments? And it's a very powerful fundamental. Okay, cool, cool. So okay, if you guys have any questions, हम आखिरी में we are having a good Q&A, and that Q&A would not just be around thumbnails, but it will be around entire YouTube. So keep your questions ready. Stay with me. It is just the beginning. I know it's going to be really good. So just to reiterate, the first thing, think about would people actually care about this thumbnail. It's a second. Okay. Are you setting the right expectations for the video? Because if people care about your thumbnail, you need to actually fulfill their expectations. Now, see this thumbnail, okay? ये जो thumbnail है, I have not seen more clickbaity thumbnail than this. ये क्या हो रहा है? There's a snake eating these cricketers and all. I don't know what's happening. It's definitely standing out. People would care about this because it's actually attractive. But at the same time, the second fundamental question is: are you setting the right expectation? So ये कहाँ से आता है? The fundamental which lies behind it is the fact that you need to actually understand that तुम जो भी thumbnail बना रहे हो, it should be very coherent with the content you are delivering, right? It should not be a kind of thumbnail जो बिल्कुल ही कुछ और बोल रहा है. It should not be extremely clickbaity. It should not be like that कि तुमने कुछ भी बना दिया. So it's a very simple rule, but it's a very powerful question to ask. So these are the two things while making thumbnails you need to take care of. One is that would people care about this, and second is that are you actually setting the right expectation? So again, I'm advising you guys ki if you are in this workshop, if you're actually understanding this, have a notepad with you ready, or just take notes, because it's going to be very information heavy for you. So it would be very tough for you to remember everything. So अगर notes रहेगा तो आसान रहेगी, और बाद में you can actually post threads on Twitter, तो कुछ अच्छे खासे followers भी आ जाएंगे. Okay, cool. Okay, now we'll talk about the 4 elements which are there in a thumbnail. Okay, now you guys might have seen कि जितने भी thumbnails होते हैं उनमें से कुछ thumbnails बहुत ही simple होते हैं, and there are some thumbnails which are really complex. And if you see the complex thumbnails, if you see the simple thumbnails, both of them have one thing in common, that all of them are made from just 4 elements. So these are the 4 elements which make or break a thumbnail, and it will help you in a way कि कई बार ऐसा होता है कि if you are making a thumbnail, you actually get stuck. You are not able to think कि यहाँ पे मैं क्या डालूं, what to put, what not to put. So you can think in a very structured way. The first element which actually makes a thumbnail is obvious. Picture. We all know it कि thumbnail में picture भी बहुत important है. I don't want to talk basic stuff. You guys are already smart. The second one are shapes. You know shapes हम कभी text के नीचे डाल देते हैं. Shapes can be used to do a lot of things. Shapes can be, you know, square हो गया, rectangle, pentagon, hexagon, whatever, right? It can be any shape. Third is actually text. We all know thumbnail में text होता है. Fourth are illustrations. Illustrations are actually you know vectors हो गए, या if you see some drawings, some sketching, these things. So there are four elements: picture, shapes, text, and illustrations. Are you guys with me? Okay, cool. Now what we'll do is we'll actually try to identify this thing, these four elements in this particular thumbnail. Okay, can you guys actually understand what are the four elements I'm talking about in this thumbnail? And now from here you will see कि thumbnails को study करना कितना easy हो जाता है once you have a structured thinking. So okay, what was our first element? Picture, right? So you have a picture here in the thumbnail. Okay, what was the second thing you had in the element section? Shapes, right? And if you see below this text, there is a rectangle. Okay, then there is a text. Okay, and you have the text. Okay, fourth, you have illustration. So you can actually see there is a rupee, right? So it can be counted as illustration. So with these four help of elements, what you can actually do is now you can study any thumbnail in this entire world. So now how has it helped you, or how it can help you? So मान लो कि you are making a thumbnail, right? And you are actually stuck. So how you can think is that, okay, if this thumbnail is feeling blank, what can I add here? Can I add a picture here or no? Can I add a shape here or no? Or a text or a illustration? Or then you can apply all those permutations and combination and actually combine them. But the base remains the same. You now have a very structured thinking कि thumbnails में क्या होता है. So now how you can apply it कि whenever you are going to create your next thumbnail, think from this point of view, that if a thumbnail has to convey a particular message, how can I use a shape to convey that message, right? How can I use a text? How can I use a picture? Or how can I use an illustration to actually convey that message? Because every thumbnail is made from only these four elements. Now, here comes the main part of this workshop, because up to it was a quick thing, but now here comes the main part of this workshop, where I'll actually teach you how you can study thumbnails and how you can break down thumbnails. It is something which has actually told me how I can study any thumbnail in the world, and how I can pick the best practices and the worst thing from any thumbnail. So actually, if you see now, if you go to YouTube, there are thumbnails which are really attractive, and then there are thumbnails which are really bad. Okay, now you need to understand how can you pick the best thing from the best thumbnail, and how can you avoid the worst thing from the worst thumbnail. Cool. So understand that every thumbnail has a 5-step framework. So there is a 5-step process which you can actually understand to break down a thumbnail. It starts from the background, right? There are 5 steps to it. It starts from the background, then there comes a middle ground, then there comes a foreground, then text, and then actually some effects and add-ons. Now understand this very clearly कि ये जो भी मैं बोल रहा हूँ, each and everything is very long. right? But just to give you guys a quick overview of it, these are the 5 steps which can help you understand the thumbnail. We will actually study thumbnails. Abhi saath mein, I have selected a few, okay? But these are the 5 steps. Have you guys noted it down? Are you guys with me actually, or am I talking to myself only? Before moving ahead, understand that what actually frameworks are, okay? Frameworks are actually made ताकि you can actually mold them according to your need, okay? तो ये जो 5 steps हैं, they are the maximum, okay? Thumbnails don't go beyond that, but it's not important that every thumbnail would have these things, but it will actually help you understand कि background क्या हो सकता है, foreground क्या हो सकता है, ये चीजें क्या हो सकती है, वो चीजें क्या हो सकती है. So it's completely possible that whenever you are going to study a thumbnail, you would understand that okay, it has a text, it has a background, but it does not have a picture or whatever, right? So it's completely fine. It is the maximum a thumbnail can have. Nothing can ever go beyond that. Okay. Now, what we'll do is we'll actually move to thumbnail. We'll actually move to thumbnails and we'll actually start studying them. But before that, we'll have to understand one thing, that every thumbnail has a hero, or maybe 2 heroes or 3 heroes. And what do you actually mean by hero is the fact that हर thumbnail में ना एक चीज ऐसी होती है जो उस thumbnail को क्लिकेबल बनाती है. Obviously हर element का there is a combination, but there is one thing at least which is very dominating in a thumbnail. And now your ability has to be like that. Whenever you see the thumbnail, you are able to understand what is the hero of that thumbnail. Okay, so I want to do one activity. Okay, I will show you some thumbnails. I'll give you guys 2 minutes. Okay, and then we'll actually have to understand how much you guys are understanding. Okay. Try to break down thumbnails in this framework. Obviously, I'll explain it, but we'll try we'll do this saath mein, okay? This is the first thumbnail, okay? Now it's going to be very, very interesting. We have the framework, right? Background, midground, foreground, text, and then that, okay? Text and then effects or add-ons, right? Now understand how to actually break it down. You have 4 elements and you have 5-step framework. So each of those 4 elements can be applied to each of the steps. Okay. So understand this. A background can also have those 4 elements. A middle ground can also have those 4 elements. Got it? Foreground can also have those 4 elements. Cool. Hi, Gaurav. How are you doing?
I'm good, Aryan. How are you?
All good. Enjoying the workshop. All good up there?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay. So what do you think makes this thumbnail? Can you try to break it down?
So it I think the background is the yellow. Okay, I think that's a part of your PPT. My bad. I think the background, it's the expression of the gentleman who's sort of giving a thumbs up, but at the same time not very happy about it. The text and the fact that the word salary is highlighted, like the white text sort of establishes that text was supposed to be white here, but the word salary is to be emphasized, hence it's a different color. Then the shadows to both the shapes and the person sort of helps us see that it's in 3D, or it's trying to emphasize, okay, that these two need to come out, or establishing that this is the foreground and not the background.
Okay. Great effort, but you actually took it a bit wrong. So I try to explain. Okay, see, understand that now we'll go step by step. So the first step is to understand the background of the thumbnail. So here, okay, guys in the chat, क्या लगता है background क्या है? What do you think is the background of this thumbnail? No, it's not blue. It's not blue. Exactly. The background is money. Okay. Blue is not the background. The background is money. Now understand this. Background. Why do we make background? Okay. We make background to actually let people understand the context of the video, but subconsciously. Okay, if you actually go and try to understand, and if you actually go and try to see this thumbnail in your feed, it does not even look like there's the money in the background, but your brain subconsciously feeds it. So the background is mostly made for two purposes. One, to feed your subconscious mind, and second, to actually give it a more aesthetic look. We'll not talk about aesthetics a bit. It's a thing of later. But for now, the background is this money pattern. Okay. But why the guy has chosen? मतलब thumbnail तो मैंने ही किया obviously. So why I chose money as the background? It's simple, right? Because the video talked about salary. So salary equal to money. So the background is actually money. Cool. What do you guys think is the middle ground?
I was saying it's the blue colored screen which also has a gradient.
Exactly. Cool. So the mid ground is something which is which is in the mid of the background and the foreground. So this blue is the mid ground here. Now understand why I chose blue. Two reasons. One is that this guy has a brand color established of blue. Second, if you actually go and read color psychology, blue is a color of trust. Okay, and even if you don't know that blue is a color of trust, it's your mind, it's your subconscious mind which already knows that blue is a thing of trust. So if you are making thumbnails like this, right, because if I'm talking someone about if you need more salary, watch this video, it means that I should be trustworthy enough to actually to advise you how can you get more salary, because salary is something which needs to be very much confidential. It's a very tabooish thing in India. We don't like to talk about money, so the person who's talking about it has to be very much trustworthy, hence blue. Okay, cool. What do you think is the foreground here?
It's the
Okay, I like this comment, right? Someone told that my background is blue also. It's very intentional. Okay, yeah. What do you think is the foreground? Garv, would you like to attempt?
yeah, it's the shape and the person's picture.
Exactly. Exactly. So the foreground primarily is the picture. Okay, this person's picture, and why I have chosen this picture. Obviously, it can be much better. The expression is not that great, but मेरे पास और कोई photos थी नहीं, तो I was kinda mandatory कि मैं इस पे ही वो कर लूं. But you need to understand that the foreground is this person's picture and the shape. ये जो shape है on which the text is there. Okay, now I think we don't need to talk about more कि text क्या है. It's pretty much visible कि what is the text in the thumbnail. And now let's talk about effects and add-ons. Okay, the effect is a drop shadow in the shape, right? It adds to the depth. In fact, even in this picture, there is the shadow. Also, in the foreground, I forgot that there is this. Your account can be credited with rupees something. This is the foreground. So now you are getting the point. You have very easily, by using this 5-step framework, understood how you can study thumbnails. And now once you get this idea, do you feel confident that you can study any thumbnail in the entire world? If yes, then let me know in the chat. And believe me that you can actually understand any thumbnail. I'll show you some more complicated ones also. Okay. Hoping so. Okay, cool. I understand the sentiment, but you would. Okay. And also, just one more thing. you guys would now actually see that I would give you a layer by layer breakdown of a very complicated thumbnail from Photoshop. So you would actually see how I make thumbnails. तो एक insider information है. I don't know why I chose to reveal that, but it's okay. I love you guys. Cool. Uh, Now, here is the second video, okay? Sorry, the second thumbnail, okay? Now, here's a different question. What do you think is the hero of this thumbnail? What do you think made this thumbnail actually the best thumbnail out there, or one of the best thumbnails out there I have made in my entire life? Because honestly, it is a pretty bad design, right? Black on orange is a bad contrast. It's a bad contrast. I think that Dharmesh must be thinking in his mind कि यार ये क्या बना दिया. But it's a good thumbnail. It's okay. So what do you guys think is the hero of this thumbnail? Okay, expression, 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 expression. Great, great. But it's incomplete. Expression with the text. Expression is okay, right? Expression is fine. Now I'll try to explain क्या है, ठीक है? First I'll try to explain the hero, and then I'll go back to the five-step framework. The hero is, okay, I'll give you a brief context. So Christ University is a very famous university in India. I guess a lot of you already know. Okay. But see that the text, okay, it's a form filling video where the creator is actually talking about how you can fill the form for the university. But understand the text. He filled a Christ University form without watching this video, and now what you guys said, the expression. So it says that okay, मैं इस वीडियो को अगर नहीं देखूंगा, I would miss something really really big, and it is complimented so well that कोई इसको मतलब हो ही नहीं सकता कि बंदा इस पे क्लिक ना करे, right? It's so compelling. So the hero is actually the idea of the thumbnail. So you actually have to understand the fact that it's not always the best graphics or something which makes you the best thumbnail, but it's actually the idea. And now we'll go back to the five-step process. Okay, so the background for the the background, there is only one background. It is this orange thing. And why have I chosen orange is the fact that it's the brand color. So it was actually for a startup, and companies are too much associated with their brand color. So I didn't have any option. So I chose orange because it's their brand color. Now, there is no mid ground because obviously no need. The idea was powerful enough. Okay. Okay, I can see one chat which says that his expression is amazing, but the texts are too lengthy. Okay, now I want to address this. I understand that you guys must have heard कि इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा text है या फिर एक thumbnail में कम text होना चाहिए. It's right, but it's partially right. Because you know what, thumbnails की, internet की, social media in whole की, what is the beauty of the internet? That there are no rules. There are absolutely no rules. You cannot apply these frameworks, still you can create better thumbnails than me. So I understand कि इस चीज को काफी लोगों ने generalize कर दिया कि बहुत ज्यादा text है, but in this particular thumbnail, because the idea was to show something, this many words were required, and it's completely fine, right? And it's also very niche dependent. It's actually a education niche. So in the education niche, people require a lot of text. If you actually go to the channels of Unacademy, Adda 24/7 or Byju's, these guys have so much going on in their thumbnail because it is the requirement. So don't generalize rules. Understand the fundamentals of where it is coming from. Cool. So the background is the orange color. Okay. The foreground is the person's expression, as you guys said, and we have the text. If you talk about the effect, then there is a drop shadow. pretty simple thumbnail. It took me like 2 minutes to execute, but it took me an hour to think. That's where it goes very important. Cool. Third thumbnail, and it's actually a really good thumbnail. Okay, who would like to attempt this? Hi, FP.
Hi,
I really
Aryan.
like your DP. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. So, in this, do you want me to start with the hero first?
Not really. It's a more, but it's okay. I appreciate it. Start with the hero.
So, I think that's the eyes are covered. So, that's something that is really intriguing. And
Mhm.
the background will be the brick wall in this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And after that, the middle ground is obviously the picture with this message: "Hey, everyone, I killed myself and my family."
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that will also be the effect. This eyes, which is covered, plus
Okay.
this circle thing which is highlighting one of the face. So yeah,
Okay.
I mean that's how I would break this down.
Yeah, you are like 80% there. Just a few things I would like to add, but great try. Okay. So the background is the brick wall, as he rightly mentioned. But now let's dive deep into why brick wall. Why did I choose only brick wall? Why not something else? So understand when you see bricks, okay, and हम सब ने अपनी जिंदगी में एक ना एक बार क्राइम पेट्रोल सीआईडी कुछ ना कुछ तो देखा ही है. If you actually see that the thumbnail is about shooting, killing, murder, mystery, and if you see a brick wall, it is very subconsciously associated with some dark thing. If you see CID episode, the brick is a very rough shaped thing. ठीक है? It is a very villainized thing. So if you see a brick wall and if you see the walls of your room, you would actually feel the difference of the vibe. Your room's wall would give you a very positive, happy vibe, this, that, but you actually go and sit in a room which has a brick wall, it actually gives you a bit scary vibe. And it is the fundamental reason why I have chosen this. So you have to go to the very deep into why you are doing what you are doing. You have to understand it. Okay, it's the process again. But don't think ये इतना complicated है. It's just what do you see around you. Okay, the background is this brick wall. Okay, the mid ground is a brown gradient. Okay, there is a brown gradient which is hidden there. The foreground is obviously is bande ki picture. Then there is a black stroke on his eyes. I'll explain why there is a black stroke on his eyes. Then there is the picture of his family. There is this gun, and there is the note. Okay. Now understand this. Cool. Going to make my LinkedIn cover a break background cover. What? Okay. Cool. So guys, if I actually try to understand why I chose all of this, is because see the story is that this guy shot himself and his entire family. So why this black stroke over his eyes is the reason कि if you actually see अभी तुम देखते होगे news maybe the criminals who are arrested, what do the people do is actually attach a black cloth over their head. So बचपन से हम उसको देखते आ रहे हैं. Okay, so we have this thing in mind कि if we cover the head of the person or the eyes of the person, he is actually a criminal. Yeah, exactly. It's actually concealing his identity. So it is actually to signify that this guy is a criminal. Okay, then there is this family picture. pretty obvious why is this family picture, but there is a catch. If you see this picture, right, the edges of this picture are very rough. And the reason why the edges of this picture is rough is the same fact is that if you have to show something mysterious, murder, it has to be rough. It cannot be a rectangle because then the impact would not be there. Cool. So there is the family picture because obviously उसने अपने family को मारा था. Then there is a gun for obvious reasons because he's short. Then there is a note, okay? And now there are people in the chat who are saying ki, is the text readable? Obviously, the text is not readable. But you have to go back and ask the first question. Is the text required? Okay? Every text which you write in the thumbnail is not meant for reading. If you see Western thumbnails, right, they don't write any text. Western thumbnails are more about showing what is happening rather than writing what is happening. India still needs a lot of text, right? But moving forward in 2 years, you will see, and I am predicting this right now, that in the next 2 years, text from thumbnails will completely disappear in India. So this text is not meant to read. Okay? And the words which are actually meant to read are highlighted in the stroke. But even if you are on a small device, if you are not able to read it, it's completely fine because the picture itself is showing a lot that there's a gun, he's a criminal. So everything is pretty much self-explanatory. So I'll just come on in again. The background is a wall. The midground is the brown gradient. For foreground, you have all these pictures, and then in the effect section, you have drop shadows. You have the strokes and all, and these everything to highlight stuff, to actually understand what's going on, to add some depth, to add some dynamism, right? So this is about this thumbnail. Cool. Right. Now, here is the fourth thumbnail. Who would like to try this? And it's actually my favorite thumbnail. It's actually my favorite thumbnail. It took me 3 hours to make, but I just love it because the messaging is so strong. Who would like to try? It's going to be fun, honestly.
So as I see in the thumbnail, the background, to be honest, there are actually 2 to 3 pictures actually blended, I think so, if I am not wrong, in the background. And then the foreground has that like Baba-like picture that is standing there. And then there is the square type thing that is like torn. And on the top of that, there is the text as well. And there is an element like an arrow over which there is a child, which is also the foreground of that image, right? And then there is an element of 0 out of 100, which represents that education that she has got is worthless or something like that.
Okay, cool. Okay. You have a nice try, but Prantik, can you actually try to talk about what is the hero of this thumbnail?
There are actually 2 heroes in this thumbnail, I think, because there is one girl which is like blaming someone for her education. So these are the 2 people. The person that is raising in her hand with a chalk, I think. And then there is
Okay. You are completely right here. So I understand. Okay. what is actually the hero of this thumbnail? Because the idea of this thumbnail is very strong. So see, understand the, we'll come to the framework बाद में. I guess अब तक तो I guess most of you have already understood how to apply the framework, but now let's talk about the ideas more, okay? Because they are most important part. The hero of this thumbnail is the fact that if you and I are frustrated from the education system of India, which we apparently are, हम सबको लगता है कि हाँ हमारी जिंदगी झंड हो गई है. We are very angry, right? And when we are angry, we have this thing कि अगर हमारे अंदर पिछले 5 साल का गुस्सा अंदर है ना, तो the day that anger explodes, we shout, and then we start blaming people. Now understand the word. The key word is to blame, right? Blame. So when I am blaming you, I do this. This hand gesture is important, and that is the fundamental of this thumbnail. Okay, the fundamental is that the girl is blaming the teacher, and she's actually talking about ki the education has ruined my life, and because the girl is very innocent, she's blaming the teacher because she thinks that the teacher is the one who is responsible. So the fundamental emotion is blaming. Now understand that there's a secondary thing to it. Okay, the secondary thing is the secondary thing is, if you see in the right hand, okay, there's a suicide rope, okay, and that suicide rope has 0 by 100. It fundamentally means that in India we have equated इंसान की self worth to marks, ठीक है? And now these things, you know, in a thumbnail there are various things, and whenever you are making thumbnail, you have to understand कि how can you use those 4 elements to convey the fundamental message. So it also shows कि in India how we have talked about कि if you score less marks, you are good for nothing, everything is bad, you know. So the hero is actually the blaming. Hero is actually the idea of the thumbnail. And then let's talk about the framework. The background is a classroom background. Okay? It's actually, if you see, it's a blackboard. It's actually a government school. And the reason why I have picked the government school is the fact that obviously, you know, हमारी इंडिया में government schools की हालत बहुत गंदी है. These things generally do not happen in private school. To validate the stereotype, I have using क्या होता है? I have chosen the background as, you know, government school का there. Then we have the midground में we have this grunge texture. If you zoom in here, you will see that there are black spots here and there. Okay, it actually shows that something intense is happening. The blaming is happening. So it has to be dark. The foreground is this girl being the main subject, this teacher. Again, if you see, if you remember this thumbnail, right, the previous one I shown you guys, the same reason why I use this black stroke on his eyes was the reason he is actually shown as the culprit. And in the same thing, the same black stroke is actually being put on his eyes, because in this the culprit is the teacher. So the foreground is these things, okay, and then you have the text, and then you have in the add-ons you have the drop shadow, you have some effects on your text. Okay, so this is the entire thing. The idea was this. Now we have our last thumbnail. Okay.
Hey guys. Okay, so so here the hero, or like the main element, obviously is the metaverse, which is why there's the AR, the VR goggles on him.
Yeah.
the background again kind of emphasizes the whole metaverse, concept where it's all, techie and kind of like futuristic, in a way. And these are also the colors that are usually associated with like this whole, even my room is the same colors.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. Mark, is that Zuckerberg? That's Zuckerberg, right?
Yeah.
So Zuckerberg's kind of like peeking from the back. He's trying to, be the king of the metaverse with his whole meta move. So he's kind of like and he has this like sly grin on his like a cheeky, slightly villainous smile on his face, where he's trying to maybe capitalize. Trying to hijack the metaverse with his whole thing, and that's kind of what maybe the video is about, because it's the hard reality. So like the hard reality over here could be that while we talk about the metaverse, guys like Zuckerberg will still try and come and be the main guys in this space as well. So that's kind of what I'm getting from this.
Yeah, you are absolutely on point. Absolutely on point. Just one thing you left is the fact that there are also various people in the thumbnail who are wearing headsets here and there, and they are actually in a motion. They have become mad. They have lost all the consciousness, and that's why here is this motion blur. Okay, but guys, actually, this is a very complicated thumbnail. So what I'll do, I'll open the Photoshop file, and I'll actually show you guys a actual layer by layer, effect by effect background breakdown of this thumbnail. Do you guys like this? Do you guys want? Should I go to the Photoshop chat, please? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. I'll just open Photoshop. Okay. So it's a very interesting thumbnail. I'm not being narcissistic. I'm being practical. Okay. It's a good thumbnail. Okay, cool. I made this, I think, in January or so, and it's the reason why I've still kept it. I'll just remove all the layers. Okay. Just see me removing the layers one by one. Just observe how I remove the layers, and then I'll apply all the layers again while explaining to you everything. Okay, see, I'm just removing the first layer. The Mark Zuckerberg crown is gone. Okay, the hard reality text is gone. The metaverse text is gone. The main thing is gone. Now, here's one thing. Can you see this hidden meta logo here?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was also a very, subconscious thing. Cool. Then it's gone. Everything disappearing. The logo gone. Last one gone, and now everything is blank. And now guys, be with me, okay? Be with me. Obviously I cannot recreate the entire thumbnail because some things are already done, but assume that there is a client who has made this video, and now he wants all of us to make the thumbnail. Okay, be with me. Just dive into my brain. Okay, dive into my brain. Understand how I think. Okay. So the client has sent me a very. We have a video on metaverse where I'm talking against the metaverse. Understand the keyword. He is talking against the metaverse. So we have to make it a very evil thumbnail. We have to make it a very exposé kind of thumbnail. So, okay, what can be the background? How do I think? It's metaverse, right? So the background can be metaverse colors, obviously. Again, whatever I have created, I'm not saying that it is the only thing which can work. There can be much better thing. But I made this. It's completely fine if you think some other way. It's completely fine. It's just my way of thinking, and it has worked for me. Something else might work for you. It's completely fine. But try to understand my point of view. So okay, I want to create a background first, right? So I can have meta say related color. So I put a background. Okay. Now, what I've done is it's actually a plain gradient background featuring blue and purple. It's a very, metaverse color, as Hashim already mentioned. But what I've done is I've actually smudged the entire gradient. There is a tool in Photoshop which you can actually use to, ये सब कुछ chaotic हो जाता है. Now, there's a reason why I have done this. The reason is the fact that I want to show that metaverse is actually destroying everything. And if something is getting destroyed, it becomes chaotic. And to show chaos, I have done this. Do you guys get it? Are you with me, chat? Do you get why I made the background? Cool. Now, okay, the background is done. What else? What I have to show is that people are getting destroyed. So, if metaverse come, we all very stereotypically assume that we will wear headset और हम बहुत robotic हो जाएंगे, हम पागल हो जाएंगे. Because if you see, people who talk against metaverse only talk about the fact that if we go in the metaverse, we'll forget our nature. We will become robotic. लोग कहते हैं ना कि इंसान पागल हो जाएगा. So we have to show that people will get mad. So what can I add? I will go to Google. I will search people wearing headset. Cool. Now, so I put some people who are wearing headsets and doing some absurd thing. Okay. Now see. Okay. So I have added some people who are wearing hats, and you see their expressions, everything. It is so weird, right? कोई कुछ कर रहा है, कोई कुछ कर रहा है, कोई someone is playing a game. But one thing is common in all of them, which was also common in the background, is that everyone is very chaotic, right? The same effect I have applied there. Everything has become so chaotic. So now we have created a good base to make the entire thumbnail. Okay. Cool. Now, what we have to do is we have to show metaverse. So obviously it cannot be done without the meta symbol. Now the meta symbol is actually blue, right? But I have applied an effect so that it actually merges in the background. But if I put it very normally, it would be like this. So it looks really bad, right? So what I've done is just merged it. So it is there, but it is very fulfillingly there. It's not, contradicting what I'm trying to make, right? Now, metaverse. What can be the hero? Obviously, a big VR, right? Now, a big VR. Again, the same thing. If you see VR के नीचे वाले part में भी the same effect is there, which shows that everything is getting so chaotic, right? Cool. Then there's a reason why this face is too big. Obviously, because if you have a big face in your thumbnail, it attracts more, right? Now, the text, metaverse, obviously text to hoga hi. But just the thing ki I have applied a 3D effect to the text so that it actually aligns with the VR headset. It looks good. It feels that actually the VR is associated with metaverse. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Then we have the hard reality, the text. Then we have Mark Zuckerberg, and that Mark Zuckerberg guy is actually speaking, and he's speaking having a very cunning smile because of the fact that he's ruling all that, and then he has a crown in on his head. So this is about the thumbnail. So this is how I made the thumbnail. I will just switch again to Canva. Okay. So this is it, right? We'll have a short Q&A, but this is the entire workshop. It was a lengthy workshop, but I hope it added a lot to what you actually learned. Can you guys write in the chat if you found it helpful?
Yeah, so Aryan has picked 4 to 5 thumbnails from the WhatsApp, so he can actually walk you through the thumbnails as well. So yeah.
Okay, cool guys. So actually, हुआ क्या था कि we had made a WhatsApp group. So if those guys who joined, they submitted a few thumbnails, ठीक है? And I'm going to review, I guess, 2 of them, and then we can have a very quick Q&A. So I'll just open the Figma file. Okay, cool. So this is the first thumbnail I have to review. Okay.
So if Praveen, if you're on the call, you can just raise your hand. I'll add you on the spotlight.
Yeah, we'll have a Q&A after this. We'll just review these 3 thumbnails very quickly. Okay.
Yeah, I think Praveen is there.
Okay, acha, he's there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So understand this thumbnail. Okay. So if you actually see the thumbnail of people who are doing really good in the tech space, there is a big trend in the space is that the thumbnails are very minimal, no text or maximum to maximum two words, and the thumbnails are very bright. The major issue with the thumbnail is that the hero of the thumbnail has to be the phone, and it seems that phone यहाँ पे secondary हो रहा है, right? So you have to make the phone really big, and nothing else is required. You could have just put the phone, a very big phone with a very minimal background, with colors actually popping out well. This red background, the black shape, the text, these things are not at all required. The only thing which is required is the phone, because it is the phone which only matters, nothing else, right? So this was about it. Okay, so whatever you want to about your YouTube for the next maybe 10 minutes or so.
Awesome. Hey, hi, Aryan.
Hi.
In the beginning of the session, you mentioned about how, let's say, if you're creating a video about a topic that, let's say, Ankur Bariko has created. So in that case, as a new creator, how should we go about creating our thumbnails when ideally we should not be using our pictures on some topics that have already been covered by big YouTubers?
Yeah. So see, bro, the thing here is not about the thumbnail here. It's fundamentally about the content here. If you are coming on YouTube and you want to grow, you have to understand the fundamentals of why people actually watch YouTube, right? I'm a big kind of going back to basics. The fundamental is that people want to watch a solution to their problems. ठीक है, अब वो प्रॉब्लम उनका स्ट्रेस है तो वो एंटरटेनमेंट देखते हैं, अगर उनको कुछ जानना है तो वो कोई इंफोटेनमेंट देखते हैं, राइट? सो द फंडामेंटल रीजन हियर इज कंटेंट. इफ यू आर चूजिंग टू मेक कंटेंट which जो लोग ऑलरेडी कर चुके हैं, you would not stand out no matter what you do. And if you have something different to offer, you have to show that in the thumbnail. Okay, I'll just give you a quick example to actually understand that. So if the guy, I showed that thumbnail in the very beginning, right? I showed that the guy made a video on free social media courses. बहुत सारे लोग हैं. But अगर उस बंदा उस चीज में, if he would have added something like 5 social media courses which 5 free social media courses which made me a millionaire, then I would click on it, even with his photo, because none of the fundamental changes, right? So understand that fundamentals matter. So in that case, change your content, add something good to it, add something your to it, and once you add your flavor to it, highlight that flavor in the thumbnail, and you would stand out. Cool. I hope that answers your question.
Makes sense. Thanks, Aryan.
Yeah. Cool. More question, guys.
There are a bunch of questions on the Q&A section. So.
Acha. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just take them.
So,
Okay. So
yeah.
someone has asked how to get noticed by Mr. Beast. I don't know. I have no answer. I don't know. मेरे को तो आज तक लगता है कि Mr. Beast by mistake followed me. So I don't know, but it's okay. Yeah, I don't know. Just love what you do. I love YouTube. I'm obsessed with it. Like I eat, sleep, drink, everything in my life is about YouTube. So maybe that is the reason. Okay. Thumbnails suggestions for purely academic lecture type videos. Bro, for if you are really creating lecture type videos, so you have to specify कि क्या niche hai in your videos, right? If you are making videos related to mathematics, psychology, philosophy, social science, every thumbnail can be very different. So this question is kind of incomplete. How do you find texture by just typing out textures? It's very easy. Okay. What is a good CTR? Okay. So one thing I would like to explain you guys कि काफी लोग पूछते हैं कि what is a good CTR? So there is no good CTR. CTR depends upon the number of impressions you are having. Okay? So if you are actually having a lot of impressions, then तुम्हारा CTR अपने आप कम होगा, because as more people get to see your video on their feed, you actually start getting less clicks, right? And if your impressions are really low, your CTR would be high. A decent range is if you are actually having, let's say, 5 million impressions or something, have at least 6%, 7%, 8% CTR. Okay. Where to create thumbnails? Again, the same thing. जहां भी अच्छा लगता है उधर बना लो. Doesn't really matter. When you talk about if people will care about your thumbnail when they see your thumbnail against someone like Ankur Warikoo sir, how we stand out, I think I've already answered that. So I think there are no more questions. I'm not sure. Any more questions, guys?
Someone asked how to create vlog thumbnails if someone, a daily vlogger, not like Jungjo sir.
Okay. I got it. So how you can create a vlog thumbnail is basically, if you are a vlogger, focus on 2 things. One is relatability, second is emotion. Show those 2 things and you are good to go. Now think more about it. My answers are very broad. Go and think about it. Emotions and relatability. Do one thing. Pick these 2 words, emotions and relatability, and now go to Flying Beast ka channel and apply these 2 words to every thumbnail. And now you will actually understand what I'm trying to say. Emotions and relatability. Yeah.
Oh. So the next question is some good thumbnail ideas for boring topics like crypto and finance. Like, how do you make thumbnails for boring topics?
If you have boring topics, don't make videos on them. If your video itself is boring, why do you want to post it?
Yeah. So and then Samit is asking, in a multi-language country like India, do you think text-less thumbnails are the future?
100%. So there are two things I would like to predict for the next two years of Indian YouTube. One is that the text will completely disappear in the next 2 years, and second, that dare based videos, Mr. Beast type videos would increase in the next 2 years. Mark my word, it is going to happen. Yeah.
Okay. So Bhavya is asking, is it necessary for thumbnail to be related with the videos?
Bro, obviously, I mean, yes, yeah. Thank you so much for attending. I had fun. I hope you guys had also. It is something you need to think upon. Go back, think upon it, and I think you can be the best thumbnail designer, at least in this country. मतलब मेरे को तो beat कर ही दोगे, इतना है. Thank you.
Yeah, nice. Great. Thank you, Aryan. Thank you for this session. And hope you guys had fun, and hope you guys learned something from the session. If you learned something, like, we would love to hear from you in the WhatsApp group and continue the discussion there about making great thumbnails. So that's it from our side in the session. See you guys in the next masterclass.
Have a great day and have a great weekend. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye.